So what does this do for Luka's MVP race and MVP hopes? Last week, the NBA put out their Kia MVP ranking or ladder, which started out with Jokic and Embiid being 1 and 2, but Embiid had a loss against Boston where he scored 18 points, and I think there was 2 losses in a row, and from that they dropped him down 1 and put Luka at number 2 in the race behind Jokic. And when I read, and I did a video on this too, I read the articles, or because they posted this, and then it had reasoning. It was like, hey, here's the case for this player on why we have him ranked 1, 2, and 3 or whatever, right? And they said all this positive stuff about Jokic, they said all this positive stuff about Luka, and then when they got to Joel Embiid, they just started talking about negatives and talking about how he just lost to Boston and he failed to score 20 points. He only had 18, and all of these things, and he lost 2 straight games, and but he was the player of the week in the East. That's the only good thing they say. He was the player of the week of the East, and he should bounce back against the Hawks. That was the good stuff, but they just bad stuff. But with Luka and Jokic, they just talked about the good stuff. Number 2 rated offense for Luka. How many triple doubles Jokic has gotten. They said all these good things, and I thought that was interesting. I'm gonna get into it more in depth after we hear from our sponsor, who is Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to play fantasy sports. I want to tell you about the easiest way to get in on some NBA action with Underdog Fantasy and their pick'em game. Just find your favorite player, or any player for that matter, pick higher or lower on that player's stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in one night. Pick between 2 or 5 players to fill your pick'em entry. Get every pick right, and you can net yourself some serious cash. Use the promo code ManDownSports, and you can get your deposit doubled up to $100. You got to check on the map to make sure your state is eligible to play Underdog Fantasy. But as soon as you do, and if your state is, go ahead and download Underdog Fantasy's app. Use the promo code ManDownSports, and you can, like I said, you can get that $100 match on your first deposit. And I would want to thank Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring Man Down Sports. So like I was saying, they mentioned the negative things for Embiid, mentioned the positive things for Jokic and Luka, and I guess they was trying to do that to show why he dropped 1 or whatever. But I'm real interested to see how it's going to be this week, because now, and mind you, Luka and Jokic had bad games as well. We had that game where Luka only scored 16 points against the Pelicans, which was last week. He had 16 points against the Pelicans and 8 turnovers. He would have had more turnovers if he played the fourth quarter, but the game was out of reach. He didn't even play a second in the fourth quarter. And then, of course, Jokic had that game against Memphis where he had 11 turnovers. Right? I think he actually pulled that win out, so maybe that's why they didn't mention that. But they've had bad games as well. 11 turnovers, 8 turnovers, 16 points. And so if they're going to mention that for Joel Embiid, where he only scored 18 points and they lost to Boston, which is the best team in the league right now, and he's lost 2 straight, they've got to mention it because Luka has lost 2 straight now, and he's lost 3 out of the last 4. So this week he should be dropping, right? We'll see. Jokic, since Jamal Murray has went out, he's still getting his numbers, but his team is not putting teams away the same way they were when Jamal Murray was healthy. And now Jokic is starting to drop games. They're 9-4 now. Mavs are 9-5, right? So they're dropping games. Are we going to see a rise in Embiid and a drop with Luka and Jokic? And then are we going to see the verbiage describing their negatives? I think that's going to be real interesting, right? So, but let's get specifically on Luka's hopes as MVP. This will be the 5th year in a row. So basically ever since his second season, because playing this style of offense where your best player is the primary scorer and primary facilitator, and then they sag off defense and get cheap rebounds on the defensive end. That is a hotbed for statistical gold. Points, rebounds, and assists. You're going to be close to a triple double, and that's what the MVP has turned into. How close to a triple double can you get? Can you average your triple double? If you can average your triple double, you can lock yourself in for a MVP. Unless you're Westbrook, because he's done it three or four times. He only got the MVP for doing it once, and which I don't even think he deserved that. I just think we go too crazy over the triple double, and rebounds in general in the NBA don't cost the same cost as they did previous in previous eras. The price you had to pay for a rebound in the 90s and 80s is a physical box out, a lot of exerted energy, and getting the ball, jumping and getting the ball at its apex, out jumping players your size or bigger after you've boxed them out. That's what rebounds cost back then. And elbows and pulling and pushing, and all those things was involved. You know, it was an energy. You had to exert energy every play to get most rebounds back then. Not so much today. So the rebound itself is cheaper in this era than they were in previous areas. So I'm not impressed by the rebound in general. Tons of threes and jump shots means tons of long rebounds. The rebounds are not even falling in the paint anymore. Everyone standing at the 3-point line means that you're not battling a Dennis Rodman and a Karl Malone and a Shaq for a rebound, because Shaq and Rodman is guarding the high screen roll at the 3-point line. So when the shot goes up, it's pretty much long rebound. You know, it's gonna fall in someone's hand without a back box out. You don't even have to do all that. So rebounds in general are cheap and non-impressive, or less impressive than they were before. So I'm not even excited about people getting between 7 and 10 rebounds from the guard position. Not impressed, because you're not battling a Rodman-like figure for that rebound. They're just falling in your hands, right? Not impressed by that. And I'm not impressed by a person who can get 8 assists when they're the only person on their team designed to get an assist. Not impressed by that, right? Not at all, right? I'm impressed by the type of assist that Sabonis get, because it's multiple people designed to get assists in that offense. I'm impressed by the assist that anybody get when it's not designed for you to be the only one to get it. So triple doubles in general, rebounds, assists, not impressed by. The game has changed for, you know, you can, those numbers are inflated, right? But the way the NBA sees it, it was when they see anything close to a triple double, oh my God, it's got to be MVP. They care nothing about the defensive end, right? So, and realistically, in my opinion, I don't have Luka in my top 5 anymore. I had him number 5 as Friday. I had him number 5 Friday. You know, the NBA moved him to number 2. That was based on the number 2 rated offense. That was based on his stats: 30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and that was based on his team record, which they only had 2 or 3 losses at that time. You know, so they was looked at as one of the top teams when they really weren't, because if you look at the defensive rating that was below 25th, it's probably lower than that now. And Luka is not a leader or elite player on the defensive end, and that's what I hang my hat heavy on. That you have to be a complete player to be an MVP, right? You have to show me value on both ends, because if I got a player that's showing me value offensively and defensively, how can a player that's showing me value only offensively be more valuable than the guy that's showing you value on both ends? Like, that don't even make sense. Like, if we both, like, when you look at these MVP candidates, Jokic, Embiid, Tatum, Giannis, Luka, SGA, Steph, all of those guys show value on offense to the utmost degree, A+, right? It doesn't matter if one averages 30 points and 6 rebounds and the other one averages 30 and 8, right? I mean, not 6 rebounds, but 6 assists. Like somebody like De'Aaron Fox, he's averaging more points, but he's only played 6 games, so he's not eligible to be a league leader in points per game because he's only played 6, only half the game, right? He was hurt early. I think it was ankle, right? So he's only played 6 games, but he's averaging more points than anybody in the NBA. He's averaging 32.2 points a game, 32, and he's the point guard, but he's not the sole distributor on offense. Remember, Sabonis does exactly what Jokic does, passing from the big man position. So Fox is assisting and scoring and defending better than almost any point guard in the league. I think SGA might be the only other point guard that's defending better than Fox. But on top of that, he's getting 6 assists, but he's not saying I'm the only guy that can get an assist. If he wanted to, he can go out there and get 9, 10 assists if he wanted to. But then Sabonis won't be doing. So imagine having a guy who's assisting you from the point guard position with 6 a game, and you have a big man getting you about 8 assists a game. So you got Sabonis doing what Jokic does, and then Fox is still adding 6 assists to that with 30 points, 32 points, right? But that ain't it. The backup point guard that's coming in is getting assists. Malik Monk's getting assists. Barnes is getting assists. Duarte is getting assists. So many people is getting assists on this team, right? So I say all that to say this. Someone like Fox is averaging 32 points a game and getting 6 assists, and then you compare that to Luka that's averaging 30 and getting 8, but Luka is the one that's solely the distribution for his team, and you're only getting 2 more than Fox, right? Which one is more impressive? The guy who's not the guy who plays in the offense where it's equal opportunity and everyone can get an assist, not just him, or the guy who's locked in the offense that says only Luka and Kyrie can assist the ball? You only getting 2 more than me, but I'm playing defense and you're not. So I'm more impressed by Fox. But you can't put him officially in the MVP conversation because he hasn't met the threshold for games played, right? Which is cool, right? So we'll leave him out for now. But SGA is doing the same exact thing that Fox is doing. And when he goes face-to-face with other MVP candidates, he's beating them. Like he went face-to-face, head-to-head with Luka. We beat you. We went face-to-face, head-to-head with Steph. We beat them twice. Fox went head-to-head with Luka, beat him. Jokic went head-to-head with Luka, beat him. When Luka played, Giannis went head-to-head with Luka, beat him. So when Luka plays other MVP caliber players that are on contending teams or playoff teams, he's getting snuffed out. And people should see a problem with that. And that's why every year he's the preseason favorite to win MVP, because we know he's going to have those numbers. But every year before the All-Star break or before game 25, he's out of the race. He's out of the top 5 because his team wins never are enough for him to be seriously taken. And this year when he got that hot start, his team is on a hot start, man. This might be it. And then no, the bottom fell out. So we'll see how they respond to that. So for my top 5 starting Monday, I was gonna wait to Friday to do this. I do it again Friday, but for my top 5 right now, I have Tatum number 1. I have the guy who is elite on the offensive end, and his eliteness on the offensive end and what he provides as far as points, 29, about 6 rebounds or 7 rebounds and about 4 assists. And that's with him not even having the ball, and that's with him having a co-star like Brown that has it as equal as he does. And that's with also having a pure point guard like Holiday, and then having a third guy and Porzingis who's putting up great numbers as well. I think that's very impressive for you to lead that offense, and that lead to the best record in the league, and it also leads to the number 3 rated offense in the league. So as a leader, Jason Tatum, my offense is leading the team to the number 3 rated, top 3 rated offense and the best record in the league. That's great. On the defensive end, elite defender. My defense And my leadership on defense is leading my team to a top 3 rated defense and the best record in the league. So that's why I got Jason Tatum number 1. I now have Joel Embiid number 2. Same thing. On offense, my offense is leading my team to the best record in the league. Let's see where they ranked there offensively as of last week. In the top 5, they're number 4 offensive rating, and the top 4 offense rating in the league, and the best record in the second best record in the East behind Boston. I think they got the second best record in the league too as well. So yeah, and then on defense, a top 10. So they're they're defending as well. So me as a rim protector and a shot blocker is leading my team to a top 10 rated defense and the best record in the league. I got him number 2. I got Jokic number 3. For several explanatory reasons, like he hasn't dropped off any from what he's been doing. I mean, he is just too amazing on offense. But defense, he's not below average no more. I would say he's a good defender right now, and the way that team defends, still not a rim protector or anything like that. But he's not a liability like Luka. I think Luka is a little bit better as well this year. He's putting out the effort as well. So I got Jokic at 3, and at 4 I got SGA. I got SGA at 4 for the same reasons I mentioned for Tatum and Embiid, doing it on both ends. And then at number 5 I got De'Aaron Fox. So I don't have Luka in my top 5 for MVP. He's out of it. Y'all can let me know what y'all think in the comment section, and I'll catch y'all on the next episode.